what's going on? How you doing out there? This is your Uncle Steve, and this is Uncle Steve's Lounge. Thank you for joining us here. It is June 16th. That means it is Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there. Appreciate you guys. I know what you're going through. Hope everyone had a great Sunday today, like I did. Got a chance to be celebrated. But we're here to talk a little bit of sports, a little bit of entertainment, and a little bit about the latest book for 2024, a new preview book. Do the Falcons get any respect? Come back. Let's see if they do. What is going on, everybody? Glad to see y'all in Uncle Steve's Lounge. It has been a second, but life be lifing sometimes. And had to take care of some business too. Shout out to my mom. My mom has been dealing with a couple of health things going on there. So we've been trying to take care of things as far as that is concerned. But she is on the mend and doing better. So shout out to mom. Love you, mom. And also shout out to all the dads out there, all the fathers and celebrating fathers. My father is already up in heaven, but we celebrate him today too. And all of you guys out there who are fathers right now, we appreciate you. Today's show, we're talking about a couple of things today. We're always open for Atlanta Falcons talk. That's our bread and butter. That's what got us here. So if you want to talk a little bit about the fine that happened this week, which to me, after it came out, was pretty much a non-story. If you talking about anything less than a fourth round pick, I look at that as a slap on the wrist, unless you're Mike Florio, and who is I don't know what his campaign is, but uh, I mean a hefty fine. Somebody's probably going to have to pay for that, but overall, we didn't get hit quite as hard. So glad to see that. So if you want to talk about that with the Atlanta Falcons, that's fine. If you want to talk about past Falcons moving on, Calais Campbell signing a contract with the Miami Dolphins. Good luck to him. He gave us a nice year, but at the same time, I'm not mad at the Falcons for wanting to go ahead and maybe start their youth movement a little early. Drafted all those defensive tackles, uh, got a linebacker or two, and maybe we're trying to, I don't know, maybe these guys think they can stir something up in the roster that we have. So hopefully they know what they're doing as far as the coaching staff is concerned. Let's see what Raheem and Jimmy Lake come up with to make this uh, our sack game be as potent as it was this past season. Don't get me wrong, we actually sacked the quarterback a few times last year, but when your two of your top sack guys leave via free agency, you do have to kind of look back and say, "Uh-oh, what do we do now?" So I think that's where we are with the Atlanta Falcons. And of course, it wouldn't be a show if we didn't have some entertainment part to this. Well, the first question is, okay, it's favorite sports moments with your dad or as a dad. So I look back, I had many moments uh, with my dad when we got a chance to go to games, especially when you're talking about Atlanta Falcons games. I was fortunate enough to spend a lot of time, whether it was Atlanta Fulton County Stadium or the Georgia Dome. Uh, that was kind of a nice bonding thing that we had because we were both huge Atlanta Falcons fans. And then as a dad, I talk about this a lot. My son and I, we talk sports 24/7 just about. But I think our pinnacle, I think he would agree with me, being able to check out that uh, 2016 season and that NFC Championship game to see the Falcons go to the Super Bowl, and he and I kinda had that moment together, at the game. I'm pretty sure he's not thinking about it now, but maybe 10, 15, 20 years down the line, hopefully, that's a memory that lasts with him. So those, those are things we're looking for. If you have a memory or something that you do with your kids, sports moments. I also wanted to mention my daughter because um, with her, I had the pleasure of coaching her uh, upward what's it called? Upward Sports basketball team. And man, that was probably one of my favorite times, and to be able to do it with her and the other girls her age and things like that. And I think they were all how old were they? Like, were they how old were they? About 10? I think they were 10 years old. They have a lot of little 10-year-olds running around and playing basketball, 10-year-old girls and have fun with them and bond. It was a really cool thing. I actually ran into a couple of the parents last year at the beginning of the year, and it was just like a fun time, but that's something that I can always hang on my hat when I start thinking about my fatherhood as far as my daughter is concerned, because that was a sports moment with her as well. So we can talk about that as well. If you guys want to dive into Everybody Hates Caitlyn Part 3, we can do that as well. Angel uh up to her up the whole tricks again. I mean, Caitlyn is living rent free in her head right now. And today, if you had a chance to go check out Sports Center or look on Twitter, I'm pretty sure you'll see, yeah, the little foul. It was a foul. It definitely was, a little flagrant. It wasn't Draymond Green or anything like that, but it was hard. And then after the game, Angel Reese is still. I mean, it's just so obvious that young lady is living in her head, and maybe somebody, maybe an NBA, WNBA vet needs to sit down to her and tell her, say, "Yeah, man, you kind of wearing your emotions out there when it comes to this young lady. I don't think she's thinking about you like that." Um, so if you want to talk about that, that's fine too. And then also, if you have any music recollections with your dad, my dad, who used to do some part-time DJing on the sides. For those of you who remember Peach's record store, they used to have the little crates, and he used to do little downtown parties and stuff like that on the weekends and stuff. And every time I turn around and I listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire, or even a little jazz, he just loved Grover Washington Jr. and Herbie Hancock and folks like that. I always think about him during those times. So it's pretty much Sunday. We can talk about anything y'all want to. We just appreciate y'all being in the lounge. Don't forget, if you come in, don't forget to hit the like button for us. Share the video out if you don't mind. And we'll get things rolling, man. Like I said, appreciate everyone joining us, and happy Father's Day to those of you out there. Let me jump into the chat right quick. Oh, we're gonna jump right into the first super chat coming in here. That's my brother Greg. I can tell you Uncle Steve will read your super chat. I'll read with you. Yeah, yeah. I can tell you Uncle Steve will read your super chat. I'll read with you. Oh, oh. My brother Greg from Greg's Custom Kicks. And I'm going to tell you what, y'all, I'm not going to blow it for you, but Greg is making some custom shoes for his big brother. I know he's got some for Tidy that are fire too, but he's shout out to my brother Tidy at Atlanta Bird Gang, but he's got some coming out for me this year for the season. Can't wait until we get to see the finished product. And I hope when he does, I'll probably try to get him on here as well to pump it up and let y'all know what he got. But thank you, Greg. Says Happy Father's Day, Unc. You go into paint Monday. There you go. For paint Monday. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I appreciate you, Greg. Thank you, brother. Can't wait to see how them things gonna turn out, man. I think it's gonna be fire. Y'all make sure y'all check him out at Greg Customs Kicks. John Higgins is in the house. What's going on, John? He says, afternoon, Unc Steve. Happy Father's Day to you. Thank you, young man. Happy Father's Day to you as well. Atlanta Skate Man is in the house. What's up, sir? Happy Father's Day, Uncle Steve. To all of you all, happy Father's Day as well. I hope you guys are having a great Father's Day. Georgia, Texas boys in the house. What's going on, man? What's good, Unc? Happy Father's Day, everyone. Antara is in the house. What's going on? Happy Father's Day to all, he says. To you as well, my friend. Shaka Zulu is in the house. He wishes happy Father's Day here and happy Father's Day to you. Man, this is awesome. Atlanta Skate Man said this old school saying, just win, baby, and you'll get that respect. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just gotta win. That's bottom line. Win and respect will come. Macktown Dirty is here. What's up, Macktown? Good to see you. I'm doing all right on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening now. I guess it's 6:30. Hot out there too, man. Been hot the last couple of days. Say it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to get a little cooler, but yeah, we in those days of the '90s. And if you think about last year it didn't really get scorchy hot last year for a long periods of time. I think we got in the 80s a lot of times, but we didn't have like a whole week or two of 90s last year. But we starting off nice and early this year because it's been burning up, man. D Sloan is here. What's up, D? Good to see you. Happy Father's Day to you as well. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Thank you. Coach's Corner, that's our brother Dre in the house. What's up, Dre? Y'all make sure y'all check Dre out at the Coach's Corner. I'm pretty sure once the football season jumps into full swing, he will be out there doing his thing. Say happy Father's Day to you and all my fellow men in the chat. Never did anything with my actual father, but my uncle was my dad, and my fondest memory was him being there cheering me on when I won Defensive Player of the Year. Well, that's what I'm talking about, man. I mean, and listen, you know, fathers come in all shapes and sizes and sometimes even in different roles. So, shout out to your uncle that played that role for you and made you the man that you are. So yeah, we celebrate him as well in here. Defense Player of the Year. Okay, I hear you, bro. I see you trying to slide that in there real quick. David Stotts is in here. What's up, Dave? How you doing, sir? Happy Father's Day. Appreciate you, brother. Hope everything is going well for you on this Sunday. Greg says, hot as a $2 pistol. Yeah, it's hot out there, man. That is big time hot. Oh, got a mom alert in the house. Mom is in here. Like as I said before, y'all, mom's on the mend, resting well, but hopefully she will be able to get back home here in a couple of days. And it said, little sis here has mom tuned in to listen. Awesome. Glad to have you in the house. Mommy, love you. And let's been well. And I'll probably see you very soon. I wanted to talk a little bit when we start talking about the Atlanta Falcons. Listen, this is that kind of dead period. I don't even try to pretend. I know you got a lot of folks out there, and you have enough of them that's going to break down the third string linebacker and tell you how much of a great special teams person that guy's going to be, or who's going to be the special teams guy going for that, who's going to be the reserve offensive lineman. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to y'all. as I've talked about on this forum plenty of times, listen, I'm a huge fan. Big Falcon fan, and the majority of the time when the Falcons are playing, I have so much to say. But as of right now, with those guys kinda going on a little mini break until we start getting into training camp, it's not a whole lot going on out there. Obviously, this week we found out that the Falcons were getting a little tiny slap on the wrist with the tampering charges, and it turned out to not only be Kirk Cousins, it was Darnell Mooney and I forgot the other little guy. But again, only a fifth round pick for next year and $250,000. And listen, it's Arthur Blank as a multi millionaire, I'm pretty sure he can handle that fine. I know he's not happy about it, but I'm sure he can handle it. But until then, we're really finding out things to talk about. And guess what? I was in the grocery store. I was in Publix. Shout out to my wife, Kira, who hooked up some fantastic short ribs for her husband and family today for Father's Day. Shout out to Kira. And as I was going through Publix, I stopped. I was waiting for the guy to cut up some short ribs for us. And I looked over in the thing and I said, "Oh man, guess what? First book of the season. First one I've seen." And usually I have the show where I go through all the different books and uh we talk about what their thoughts of the Atlanta Falcons are. Now, this is a post draft book. So 2024. And don't be fooled. Sometimes, depending on where you live in the country, they'll put your guy there. So they know this is the South in the Atlanta area. Bijan is probably one of the more popular uh, players down south. So the first thing I did, I went to the book and I wanted to just check out what they thought about things. And if you look at the AFC, pretty much the same characters as they say, Kansas City. Um, they think Baltimore is going to win the division. The Texans in Miami. And then at the end, very bottom, they have the Ravens over the Bengals. They don't even think the Chiefs are going to get to the AFC Championship game. And then they also think the Ravens are going to beat the Lions in the Super Bowl. So as I turned to that channel, turned to that page, I said to myself, I said, that's interesting. I wonder what they think about the Atlanta Falcons. Because a lot of people are thinking, and I know Vegas has already started saying, Atlanta's going to be better. There are a lot of odds thinking Atlanta's going to win the South. And, cool. Man, and then I look at this book. And if you look there, NFC playoff seeds, I don't see the Atlanta Falcons on there at all. I mean, matter of fact, if you go all the way down and you look at their power rankings, they don't have the Atlanta Falcons as a top 18. They think we're 10th, and they pick us second in the NFC South. So what does that mean? Well, it means I need to stop looking on magazine racks when I go to Publix early. And it also doesn't mean a whole lot of things. I mean, at the end of the day, we got to wait for this season to get really rolling before we start talking about what we think the Falcons are going to do. The roster is pretty much set, barring us making, a pickup free agents wise later on in the summer. As I said before, Calais Campbell did go ahead and sign with Miami. So it's not really a whole lot out there. Actually, I was gonna look at the free agent pickups, and I'll turn that on in a few minutes. But yeah, it's not really a whole lot to pick up. So we're probably gonna ride with the roster that we have. So let's see what Jimmy Lake and Zach Robinson can come up with and get these Falcons higher than this projected second place finish in Athlon's Pro Football Preview. Oh, who cares about that anyway? David Stark says, the Washington kid from Illinois has turned heads in camp, though. Yeah, I've been hearing about him, the wide receiver. So it would be interesting to see. A six rounder usually is not like automatic to make the club, maybe to make the practice squad. So it'll be interesting to see what they think of him uh, making the 53, or is he somebody that we're just going to hold on the roster in case one of the wide receivers end up getting hurt? But I, this is if it's any year that you're going to show out and make the team, this is be the year because you got a new coaching staff. I mean, let's face it. None of the guys from when Raheem left, there's not one receiver on this team when he left Atlanta last time. So who does he have that he's favoring over somebody? I don't think anybody. So Casey got as much of a chance as um Kadero Hodge, as far as I'm concerned. So we'll see. Greg says people are crazy to think we're going to be worse with a better quarterback. We won 7 games 3 years straight with quarterbacks who weren't even good backups on some teams, huh?
I love Desmond.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that but you know what it is? I think that's when you start getting into Atlanta is looked like. That's what they think about Atlanta. They think Atlanta is not going to be a strong team because normally, aside of every blue moon, Atlanta doesn't show up. And that's not a knock on Atlanta. That's a knock on, the media that they're just gonna say, well, until y'all show us something different, we're gonna keep writing the same thing. So the guy who probably wrote this book probably said, I don't care if y'all got Kirk Cousins or not, you're still Atlanta. You got to show us what you're gonna do. And I don't blame them. That's their job. If they think Atlanta's gonna finish second to Baker Mayfield again with Kirk Cousins, who's are definitely a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. I mean, maybe we just got to show them. But I think that's where we're coming from, man. Angel Crosswalker, what's going on, man? How you doing today? He says, my favorite moment with my dad was bringing my dad to his first Red Sox game in New York. Oh, wow. And happy Father's Day, Uncle Steve. Happy Father's Day. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's got to be pretty special right there. Because I'm telling you, Boston, the Red Sox, Yankees, that's one of those almost like Celtics, Lakers, um, Steelers, Cowboys, just one of those type of relationships. One of those type of not relationships, one of those type of rivalries that the world looks at. So I'm pretty sure that was pretty amazing to you to do that. I'm glad you got an opportunity to do that. Ray is in the house. What's going on, Ray? How you doing, sir? Happy Father's Day to you as well. Thank you so much for joining Uncle Steve's Lounge. Appreciate y'all joining us in here. Wallace Smith is in the house. What's up, Wallace? Good to see you. So what's going on with you, Uncle Steve? And happy Father's Day. I think we're going to have a better outcome this season. I have zero doubt that we're going to be, barring injury, even with the shaky, not knowing whether we're going to have a decent pass rush, I still think the Falcons are going to be at least a 9-win team. I'm going to say 10. Even with the lack of pass rush right now on paper. And I say that to say, did anyone think Calais was going to get 6.5 sacks last year? Raise your hand if you thought he was. And none of y'all should be raising your hands. Calais was 36, 37 years old last year. Nobody was sitting here thinking Calais was going to get 6.5 sacks and lead the team in sacks. Stop lying. Did you think Bud Dupree was going to come and revitalize his career a little bit here? No. I would have said 3, maybe 4 sacks. So maybe Raheem and company can do some things to kind of upset the apple cart in the NFC South. Maybe we start bringing that rush a little bit do some special things. Maybe Jimmy Lake got a plan. I don't know. Dre says, remember the year we went to the show, we were ranked in the bottom half of the league. It all comes down to when the season starts. Absolutely. Yeah, 2016, we were coming off the 8-8 year. I don't even think they picked us third. I think they barely picked us third because everybody still was high on New Orleans. And I even think that particular year, um, there was a thought that Carolina was going to be better than they were as well. Carolina had a very disappointing year in 2000 because remember they had just gone to the Super Bowl the previous year. So it was Carolina, New Orleans, and then Atlanta. So we kind of came out of nowhere. To your point, lower expectations in some cases can kind of help. Excuse me. Anthony White is in the house. What's going on, Ant? He says the Falcons got to show everyone, and even the fan base, this is an average to below average franchise. It's time for that to change. I want you to look real close at what he said. He said this is an average to below average franchise. Folks, that's not a lie. That's not a lie. My favorite team ever. But I don't sit here and try to um, try to pretend like we're better than we are. The year is getting ready to start, and I think we are in place to have a better season than last year because I love our offensive roster. The defensive roster, that's the biggest question mark. But he's absolutely right. We're an average to below average franchise, and until we win, you can't expect everyone to just jump on the bandwagon like we do. And and I'm not trying to temper anyone's excitement. Think Kirk Cousins is going to throw for 4,000 yards? I think he will. Do I think Kyle Pitts is going to finally catch more than 4 touchdowns in a season? Yes. Do I think Drake London will finally get his 1,000? Yes. Do I think Bijan has the opportunity to get over 2,000 yards from scrimmage? Possibly. I couldn't say all that last year. But yeah, we got to change that narrative. ATL Focus is in the house. What's up now? He said, do you truly believe if Matt or Quinn would have spoke up, we would have finished that game and won the Super Bowl? That's a good question. And I'm one of those people that just think things that were meant to happen just happen. I think we'll beat ourselves up and rake ourselves over the coals to keep talking about what could have. And I understand I'm not trying to avoid the question. Obviously, if they would have spoke up and maybe called a timeout to talk about it, maybe. But I think what was meant to happen happened. This is my philosophy about that whole thing. At the end of the Super Bowl, when everyone's talking about the drive that we, threw the ball and all of this and all that, I think maybe what Kyle Shanahan was thinking, and Lord knows I'm not trying to tell you I'm Kyle Shanahan's brain, but I think Kyle Shanahan is saying, this is what got us here. This attacking is what got us here. And even though New England is making a big push, attacking is what got us here, and attacking is what we're going to live and die on. And maybe that's part of the reason he hasn't been as successful with San Francisco as well. When you get all the way to the big game, or in his case, to the NFC Championship, and let's not twist it, y'all. Kyle Shanahan is a really good coach that just can't finish. But he'll get you there. And boy, oh boy, would I love to just get there. But I think maybe he becomes a little stubborn. And he's saying to himself, this is what got me to this position this year. That's what I'm going to ride with. I think last year, more than any other year, the the game against Kansas City this past season. I don't think that was a Kyle Shanahan blunder this year. I think Kansas City made some good plays. That third down when Purdy had a chance to get the first down. Yeah, Kansas City just brought the fire. They brought the blitz. Purdy couldn't control it. So I don't think it's all him, but I understand. Anthony says, "Happy Father's Day to all the dads that are handling business." Absolutely. Absolutely. David says, "We were a top 12 defense last year with a lack of pass rush and inept quarterback play. Nowhere to go but up." Inept is probably being nice. We had horrific quarterback play, and we won in spite of that. You know, I go back and look at even the first couple of games we won last year against Carolina and Green Bay. And I know the Carolina game, nobody was trying to say Desmond Ritter was going to win MVP. He had very average stats. And then in the Green Bay game, of course, he led the game-winning drive. But at the same time, still not trying to give him a lot of credit for that. So inept is bad. Bad quarterback play. That's what I think. And yeah, our defense was pretty nice. Except those last couple of games. And David, take out the Chicago game and New Orleans games, which you can't. They're on the schedule. They played them. And we gave up, what, about 80 points those last two games? I think by that time, no, the team was pretty much done after the Carolina game last year. I truly think when the Falcons lost that game in Carolina, I think the mentality was, yeah, y'all, we fooling ourselves. We ain't making the playoffs. We'll show up against Indy just to make the home crowd feel good and have a chance going against Chicago and New Orleans. Dre says, "I say this all the time. You can be a fan and love your team, but when it comes to talking about sports, you have to take your fandom hat off. You both are right." Plain and simple. Plain and simple. You do. It's hard. Example. I usually don't get in these back and forths. I got in a back and forth with somebody this past week about Matt Ryan. And the little whippersnapper was an analytics person. And he was like, well, guess what, Unc? If you extrapolate Matt Ryan's numbers into a 17-game season, he would have thrown for 4,900 yards and averaged 30 touchdowns and blah blah blah. And I went on and I listened to his little speech and I told him, I said, yeah, and what did that get us? What would averaging 4,900 yards and 30 touchdowns get us? And here was the big thing. It's in comparison to Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott. And I was like, well, Dak Prescott shouldn't have brought his name up at all. So you're gonna tell me if Matt Ryan had all of those stats that makes him a great quarterback because he averaged 4,900 yards a year. Can you say garbage yards? And I love Matt. I'm a defender of Matt. When folks say Matt was trash, I'll say, no, he wasn't trash. He wasn't elite, but he wasn't trash. But yeah, he kind of kept going, and I had to stop because when you get to a point when you're arguing with a young kid, and you just say to yourself, "Okay, man, I'm gonna just let you have it, Boomer. Go on about your business." The aforementioned Atlanta Bird Game's in the house. What's going on, brother? Y'all make sure y'all check out the Atlanta Bird Game on YouTube and Facebook. Y'all make sure y'all give them a like and subscribe over there. Watch you did something, what was that, last week when you were talking about I think you were talking about the fines and stuff I was watching, but I didn't get a chance to come in. He said Kyle Shanahan equals the 1990 Braves. Wow, that is actually a really good comparison. That's true. That's true. And really the only difference is they did at least win one. But he's absolutely right. Bobby Cox could always get us there. Snicker is kind of getting to that point too. Bobby Cox could always get it. And for a minute, Bobby Cox was getting us to the World Series pretty recent. Because the first from 91 to 96, was it 4? Was it 4 out of 6? 91, 92. We didn't make it 93. 94 was the so 95, 90, yeah. 4 out of 6. So he's good at getting you to the game. It's what you do when you get there. That's actually a good analogy. Coaches going to say, hell, the Bills went 4 straight times. You think their fans hated going even though they didn't win? Heck no. I always laugh at people when they try to act like the Buffalo Bills were the losers of all losers. Only thing you got to do with Buffalo Bills is look at the Hall of Famers on that squad. Buffalo Bills had some great players on that team. They just ran into a much better Dallas team. Dallas was stout. That last Super Bowl run that they had, Dallas was super stout. They had the best offensive line in the game. They had arguably the best running back in the game in Emmitt Smith. They had the dog-eat-dog Michael Irvin as a wide receiver. Alvin Harper on the other side to catch everything deep. Jay Novacek was the tight end. And Troy Aikman, who, if you ask me, had the ability of Matt Ryan, but definitely had a more talented team. So, yeah, Buffalo, them fans was still crazy about Buffalo. I loved Buffalo back then. ATL Focus says, I believe even if we won it, it would have been about how off the Patriots was. They hate us even when we win. Well, I mean, it would have been a narrative that we would have been one of only 3 quarterbacks to beat Tom Brady. So it would have been nice. But you really think about it, man. The Patriots, you got to give Tom Brady and company credit. Because really, there weren't, I think New England only really had one Super Bowl that was kind of lopsided. Because I know the Philly Super Bowl was close. The the Rams Super Bowl was close. Obviously, the Falcons, they beat the Rams about 5-6 years ago, but that game was close until the fourth quarter. So the Patriots, they were, they weren't this super dominant team in the Super Bowl itself. But you got to learn how to win those games. 330 is here. What's up, 330? How you doing, sir? Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. 330 says, I wanted Matt Ryan to be that killer, but as you said, not elite, but he did good. And why do people always think because you're more honest about your team's assessment that all of a sudden either you have hate for the guy or hate for your team? Last year, I took so many arrows. I got receipts. Got receipts from a lot of you out there. I just don't mention them because I'm not ignorant like that. So, but I got receipts. I hear. I got people out there that don't even root for their own quarterback. They be dogging out Desmond Ritter.
I love Desmond.
And he dogging him out. And he quarterback on his team. Well, listen, first of all, I never dogged out Desmond Ritter when he did well. Here's the problem. Name the times he did well against the times he didn't do well. If we really, really are honest with ourselves, I want y'all to, and matter of fact, if you're right now in the chat, and then I see it's about 17 of y'all in here, tell me 2 games in the Desmond Ritter era where he was really good. Give me 2 games. I'll wait. And I'll put it up there. Give me 2 games that Desmond Ritter was good. Matt Ryan, when Matt was on fire, I give Matt Ryan credit. Matter of fact, there's a lot of people that don't forget the 2018 year. A lot of people dogged out Matt Ryan. And I was telling people, y'all realize Matt Ryan is really playing good ball. But everybody was like, oh yeah, but there's 7-9 and whatever. Yeah, we need a little help from defense. But I'm gonna give them credit where credit is due. If Desmond Ritter plays at a 6 level out of 10, the Falcons make the playoffs last year. So I'm waiting for somebody to tell me that. Winston, what's going on, brother? Winston from the Eye Test on YouTube. Him and John Harris doing their thing over there. What's going on, my brother? Appreciate you and happy Father's Day. Dre says because they have their fandom hat on. That's why they act like that. If they didn't, they would have seen Desmond Ritter was trash. Again, this is not. I'm not an expert. I don't claim to know it all, but I do know bad quarterback play when I see it. And it was kind of hard to ignore that last year. That's what makes me excited about this year, folks. Do y'all actually think if we had Kirk Cousins on this team last year, we wouldn't have won 11 games? If you really go back, and I'm playing Wayback Machine, so y'all forgive me. A lot of times I don't like doing that, but I'm gonna do it in this case. If we played a Wayback Machine last year for the Falcons, trying to see why did that not come up? If we played a Wayback Machine for the Falcons last year, think about the games that quarterback play really counted. And I'm about to pull this up, so I'm sorry if y'all feel like I'm holding y'all back. But I gotta go here. I gotta go here. Let's go to Atlanta Falcons. Let's do the 2000. Let's do right here. 2023. Atlanta Falcons. And let's pull up 2023 Atlanta Falcons. Here we go. And I'm gonna pull this up. 1 second. David Starr says you can't. Dre said he was MVP. The 2 games he sat on the bench. You're probably right. He was. Share screen. Folks, this is not, and I promise you, this is not even about Desmond Ritter. This is about better quarterback play. So Heineke, you can get your part on this too. Yeah, we won. Yeah, we won the Carolina game, but that was in spite of Desmond. Think about that Detroit game. Y'all remember that game? That was 20-6. We lost 20-6. That game was 13-6, and Jesse Bates had just gotten an interception in the fourth quarter. Better quarterback play would have won the Detroit game. Jacksonville Jaguars. We look at the score. That score turned on 2 awful interceptions from our former quarterback that gave up 10 points. Jacksonville was playing like crap that day in London. Trust me, was there. I saw it. Better quarterback play. Yeah, Houston, we love that. That might have been the best game I think he ever had. Maybe Houston. Washington Commanders, better quarterback play wins that game. Tampa Bay, we won in spite of Desmond. Remember the fumble? Remember the Cadillac into the end zone? Remember that? Trying to pull it down here. Here we go. Tennessee. I don't need to talk about that. That's the game he got pulled. Minnesota, Heineke, same thing. He doesn't get an excuse. He doesn't get off the hook. Arizona, awful. We even brought Desmond back in on that game. Awful. Saints, Jesse Bates, remember? New York Jets. I was at that game too. Nasty, awful, horrible game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers should have won that game. Carolina Panthers, I don't need to remind y'all. Chicago Bears and New Orleans Saints, quite honestly, I'll tell you again, I thought the Falcons, after that Carolina game, I think the Falcons' year was over anyway. You had lost 4 out of 5. You got outscored, what is that, 85-34? Doesn't take a genius to figure that out. Better quarterback play, y'all. David says, I knew it was going to be a long season when on the first play of game 1, he hit Dahlman in the back with the ball. I remember that. He caught his own pass. I remember. I do remember. Toddy says, Desmond Ritter equals Hall of Fame flag football. Oh, man. Y'all, y'all are so horrible. God bless him, though. Hopefully he gets a good start, a good whatever away from here. But trust me, this is not going to be a Brett Favre story. Dave said, just look at the point totals of the game last year. Oh, yeah. I was looking. Aside of the last 2 games of the year, the defense was playing. And we were, and contrary to belief, we did get a little pass rush last year compared to what we had been getting the years prior. So I really do think, we did play a little bit better as far as getting some pass rush. Jamal D in the house. What's going on, Jamal? Good to holler at you, brother. Glad to have you in the house. We're just talking about a mixed bag of stuff today. Definitely want to talk about the Atlanta Falcons and stuff. Was going to get on the Braves today and say they turned it around, but I know they lost today, but at least they're playing a little bit better offensively. And as long as they can get that offensive game started again, I know it sucks Michael Harris being out of the lineup for a little while, but I am encouraged by what I saw this weekend, even with today's loss, just to see Olsen hitting again, see Riley hitting again. Ozuna's been doing his thing, just to get those guys back cranking again. I think we're going to be fine. I still say, talk to me in August. The Braves can play 500 ball up until August. I still put money on them to make the playoffs, whether it be as a division winner or a wild card. I still like my chances with the Atlanta Braves. Let them do their thing. David says, I just think that the baseball gods have looked at the Braves and said no. Yeah, that too. That too. They gave us 2021 just to tease us. The only thing we've had on this side of town to really hang our hat on is the Bulldogs. And hopefully they can overcome with what's looking like it's gonna be a nasty schedule this year. You going on the road to Alabama and Texas. That's some tough sledding. But I still think Georgia is going. And again, you only have to make the top 12 this year. Georgia get in 10-2. Or was it 10-2? 10-2. I think they'll be fine. I do I did have some thoughts, and I want to know if you guys had any thoughts about um the comments made about Bijan Robinson being having the same type of impact that Christian McCaffrey was had. He's going to be doing the same things that he was doing in Frisco last year. I think that's a little I think that's a little heavy to put on him, quite honestly. I just need Bijan to just run free. I think Arthur Smith has done his best to stifle the guys. And I think what you have to do is really let Bijan go. Let him run. And then don't forget to give the ball to Tyler. Let them boys do some lightning and thunder. Or thunder and lightning, depending on what part of the town you're in. Oh man. Hey, we got another super chat in the house. What we got here? This big low.
Super chat with Uncle. Super chat with Uncle. Super chat with Uncle. Super chat with Uncle.
That's my brother, Big Low Country Sports. What is going on, my friend? He said, what in the world, Bo? And happy Father's Day. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, yeah, make sure y'all check out Big Low Country Sports doing his thing. Y'all make sure y'all check out the low-hanging earring video. If you want to get a laugh or two. Some good stuff he got going on Big Low Country Sports. That was some pretty funny stuff right there. Y'all make sure y'all check him out. Juan is in the house. What's going on, Juan? Happy Father's Day, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Dre says, Bijan Robinson just needs to be him and do him. Don't compare him to anyone else, and that goes for them all. Absolutely. Too much comparison. Play too much comparison games, man. Just be you. Let you be you. Stop trying to worry about what the other person is doing. David says, tall task for Bijan to match McCaffrey. Give me 1,500 yards from scrimmage and have Algier throw in another 700 and we'll be fine. I like that pattern better. I like that much better. I don't understand why he has to be an equal to Christian McCaffrey. As much as I like Christian McCaffrey, I think he's a top-notch player. But let him be Bijan. Did y'all see the stuff he was doing last year when Arthur Smith was letting him play? And I think Raheem's going to let him play. Winston says, not in year 2. It's time for him to live up to an 8th overall draft position. I agree with you, brother. I agree. Jamal says, do you think Rich McKay made some use for himself with us only giving up a 5th? That's actually a very good question. I thought about that with him being on those committees. I actually thought about that. I hope he did have some influence in that we only got a 5th round pick. a 5th round pick hit. That's hey. Barbara Ridley is in here. What's going on, Barbara? How you doing? She says, "Happy Father's Day, everyone." She says, "I'm late. What's the topic?" We had a lot of topics today. We're talking about anything Atlanta Falcons right now, Barbara. Actually, the original topic we had, and only a couple of you had chimed in on that when we were talking about favorite sports moments with your dad or as a dad that you had. We mentioned a couple. I was mentioning a couple of them when I was uh, with my dad at Fulton County Stadium, enjoying a couple of games back then when he would let us go, which is not a lot. We would. Then later on, when we went to the dome, a lot of times spent more time with him at the dome than I spent uh, at Fulton County. We were little though. And then, as far as I'm concerned, with my son and my daughter, because with my daughter, I got a chance to coach her 10 and under team in basketball. And our record for I think our record, we were 4-4-2. Don't ask. But I was a I was not a losing coach. Oh man. Uh, and then also I know we haven't got a chance to go through the music stuff as we usually do. I know there aren't a lot of songs that were made for fathers on Father's Day. Pretty much the only one. And every time I hear that song, man, I literally get kind of chills. Luther Vandross's "Dance with My Father," which I think is just I just don't even think there's another song. I know people might reach back and Cats in the Cradle long time ago in the '70s, but boy, you hear that "Dance with My Father" and especially, with my dad gone, is one of those songs that really touch. But so I did ask if there was any music that you shared with your dad or you got a chance to um listen to with your dad that he influenced your thoughts. And my dad always kept it up with kind of the R&B staples, Earth, Wind and Fire. I didn't mention Stevie Wonder. He probably got me into Stevie Wonder as much. Probably got for my love of some jazz. He was into jazz more the older he got, but I probably listened to a little bit more jazz because of him. And speaking of it, man, dude, I was so hurt, man. Uh, and I was telling my wife about this the other day. Angela Bofield passed away uh, this weekend, and if y'all don't know who Angela Bofield is, uh, she's a good R&B singer and stuff, but you know how people have that signature song of theirs, and hers was, you know, "I Try." You know that I love to be with you. Remember that? Remember that song that she had? Love that song. Uh, but yeah, she passed away this weekend, so that was, pretty sad. But if y'all haven't had a chance, and especially if you're a youngster, back in the day, because I was talking to my son about this the other day, how the kids now, and yeah, I'm going all over the place, so y'all forgive me, follow along. But the kids now don't have a lot of true R&B singers. God bless hip hop. God bless all the artists that they listen to today. I'm not mad at any of them for doing what they're doing because they're making a living and God bless them. But I was talking to him about, yeah, they don't have, the '70s. You had, the Al Greens, the Stevie Wonders, the Teddy Pendergrasses, the um, even the groups, Harold Melvin in the Blue Notes with Teddy and Earth, Wind and Fire. And then even into the 80s when Mike and Prince were there and even George Michael um had a little soul. They don't have those type of singers. Even in the 90s, late 80s, Keith Sweat coming on the scene, Tony Terry, Keith Washington, Steel Luther. They didn't have those type of singers. So when I hear songs like I Try from Angelo Bofield where they sang about love and stuff like that, they just don't have that. And I feel sorry for them. I feel bad. Everything is, you know, and I'm sounding old, and I'm probably am, but I wish those kids had an opportunity to really experience that type of music and love in the music. Let's listen to the Barge the other day and Elder Barge and Switch and all of that stuff, man. Dream Boy, just things that I listen to and you can go on the dance floor. You dance for 4 songs and then you slow it down. They don't have that. Kids don't have that anymore. They talk about it all in one song. They hip hop song. The young ladies got more filth coming out of their mouth than the dudes. I was listening to some. I was listening. I don't even know what the young lady's name is. They were showing her in concert here in Atlanta, and I was saying to myself, I say, "Wow, really? Okay." And how can I be mad? She's up there. She making money, I'm sure. But I don't know. That's my soapbox for the day, y'all. Sorry. Barbara said, "Love it that it only cost us a 5th pick." Yes, absolutely love it. Glad they didn't do that. Jamal says, "My favorite sports moment when my dad was watching the Kobe Shaq Lakers against Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Ginobili Spurs in the playoffs." And I'm gonna tell you, man, those were some battles too. Because Shaq will tell you in a heartbeat, Tim Duncan was the only one. Him and Big Country. Y'all remember Bryant Reeves? Bryant Reeves used to always give Shaq fits. He gave Shaq fits all the time. But yeah, those were some battles, man. Barbara says my dad was a Cowboys fan, so many conflicts of interest. I miss him dearly. God bless him. Yeah, man. My dad was red and blue. I mean red and blue, red and black all the way. So that was I can imagine that was a pretty heavy conflict that you had with that. But I'm pretty sure in some ways you still kind of have Dallas in your heart because when you think about your dad. And she said, "Yeah, Dance with My Father." Again, my favorite. Man, that's one of those songs that pierce when you hear it. I had my brother Larry from the Dixon Way in the house. Unfortunately, I stopped in for a minute and listened to you, brother. Matter of fact, when I was listening to you, it was still 6-2. Then I saw Riley tied up, and I didn't see the guy hit the other the 2 runs to win the game. But y'all make sure y'all check out Larry and his wife Shonda on the Dixon Way doing their thing. Happy Father's Day to you, my friend. He said, "Sup, Steve? Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Training camp is almost here, Steve. Since Campbell and Dupree are gone, where do we get those 14 sacks for this upcoming season?" My friend, if I had the answer to that, I would probably be a rich man. I think somewhere along the way, Larry, they're gonna concoct some type of weird-ish type of defense that they're just gonna get pressure from their linebackers mostly. Because let's face it, right now, you're probably counting heavy on Ebiketie, heavy on I know they're not counting on D'Angelo Malone. You're counting on my man from Washington, which I think is gonna be a pleasant surprise. I don't know if y'all ever saw Brendan Trice play at University of Washington. Yeah, he's the truth. He's the truth. Go look. It was a Michael Penix led team, but he was pretty decent on defense too. He could be special when you see it. But yeah, we gotta make up those sacks. But I'll say this in turn, Larry, and I said this earlier. Did we actually expect Calais Campbell and Bud Dupree to give us 13 of those sacks? Uh, you know, did we expect that this year? I think we would all be lying if we said we did. I thought Calais would give us at his age and with limited play. He probably played more than he thought he would. I thought Calais would give us 4 sacks max. Same with Bud. So let's see what Jimmy Lake has stirred up, man. Kelvin, what's going on, Kelvin? How you doing, sir? He said, "Yeah, Angela had an amazing voice. She did, man. She did. That song. Like I said, one of those lyric songs too. You got to listen to the lyrics because she was like, "What do I have to do, bruh? What do I need to do?" David says, "Didn't know much about my dad, but my favorite sports moment with my uncle Murphy was actually the day the Braves traded Dion. Oh wow, to the Reds. We were both so pissed and loud. Yeah, yeah. I listen. I was uh I was overseas. No. I was still at Fort Lewis. I was still at Fort Lewis when that happened. When we traded Dion. Yeah, and I said to myself, I said, well, we still got him on the Falcons for life. So much for that. Barbara says RIP to the GOATs. Jerry Rice. Yeah, Jerry West, the logo, passed away this past week. And I can't even pretend that I kept up with him as a player because I was too young. My basketball started when Magic and Bird came into the league. That's when I started watching basketball. Matter of fact, I barely had started keeping up with the Hawks. I was a big John Drew, Dan Roundfield type of guy, but I really started elevating my basketball acumen when Bird and Magic came in, which is why, quite honestly, Magic is my favorite player of all time. And I quite honestly still say of the modern era, I think Magic Johnson is the best player of the last 40 years to play the game. Yes, that includes Mr. Jordan. Uh Bigelow said, yeah, I know Angela Bofill. Yeah, she just passed away this weekend. Passed away this weekend at the age of 70. Passed away. That beautiful song. ATL Skateman says James Brown, Papa don't take no mess. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Barbara did mention, and it's funny to me, Barbara, that you bring that up. Because my son, who knows I love Pharrell. I do like Pharrell Williams. He's somewhat him and when he was doing stuff with Chad Hugo with the Neptunes. I've always been a big fan of him. When this song came out, Love $1 Million Baby, when that song came out, my son, he said, Dad, this is like a month or two ago when it first came out. And he said, Dad, you gotta listen to this song, man. I know you're gonna like this. I know you're gonna like this. And sure enough, when he came out, that's actually a really good. I think his name is Tommy Richmond. I think his name is something like that. I love that song. Actually, he has a new song out too. That just came out this past weekend. I'm gonna have to see what that. See what that. What's the name of that song? But my son let me listen to that one too. But yeah, I love that $1 Million Baby. That does kind of give you a little bit of an old school vibe, just a little bit. Kelvin says my dad loved Wilson Pickett and Otis Redding, just wasn't my flavor. No, that's not, I mean, but the thing is, I was perfect example for this, Kelvin. My dad, when he was listening to jazz back in the 70s and stuff, I was like, oh, dad, how do you just listen to just instruments? Even though I was in the marching band, I played instruments, but I was like, yeah, I got to have some songs and somebody with some vocals to sing behind them. And I think later on, my appreciation for them became much better because I think because of my dad's influence of putting that in me. So I hear what you're saying. That makes sense. Bigelow says Patches by Clarence Carter. Clarence Carter, a lot of people like Clarence. Always. ATL Focus, Unc, I never knew how talented Tina Marie was. Tina Marie could go. And she's somebody that will never get credit. I think when people think of Tina Marie, they probably think more of her and Rick James singing Fire and Desire. But Tina Marie had one of the most sultry, beautiful voices in records, and probably because she was mostly R&B, and B, and she did some jazzy stuff a little later on before she passed. Um, because she was in that arena as a white artist, she probably didn't get her due as much. But Tina Marie, whoo, man, oh, she could blow. Was it a lover boy? A lover girl. I just want to be a lover girl. Winston says kids nowadays only have aggression or sex music. They don't know about love, family, congregation, and upliftment. I pray for them. Yeah, and it's tough because I think one of the reasons why I'm always kind of hesitant of being super critical about how changes. I remember when Prince came out, man. And when Prince came out, man, there were preachers out there that wanted Prince. They thought Prince was the Antichrist. They thought Prince was coming down to demonic. They were talking about Prince. You play his record backwards, and it was demonic music when he actually put the stuff on Purple Rain so people could do that. There were people that literally thought he was going to be the end of days. So I know today, yeah, you're right. There is a lot of aggression and probably a lot more sexuality than there was back then. But at the same time, you know, they're gonna be, trust me, 20 years from now, they're gonna be saying the same thing to their kids. The same thing. But I hear you loud and clear. Dre says that's because it's not cool to love no more. Now it's about trash like Sexy Red. Yeah, that's one of them. She's the first, yeah. I, but it's almost like one of those things where I want to say something, but I'm trying to be nice because you and I are right here when it comes to her and folks like it. It's not just her. It's some other ones that I'm just trying to tell you. It's some nasty stuff out there. But somebody buying it. Demetrius, what's going on, man? Good to see you in here. Happy Father's Day to you as well, my friend. Hope everything's going well with you. Kelvin says Father's Day song Cater to You by Destiny's Child. Cater, cater to you. That's the one. That's kind of weird. Was that the one that they did the little thing up there with Terrence Howard, and is that the same song? Somebody, well, I forgot what that was. What was the song that they were up there doing the little table dance for Terrence Howard and the other guys up there? That's the only reason I was thinking about that song. Um, uh, Jamal says, Unc, I expect an active trade deadline this year for us, considering we still have plenty of picks. Yeah, we should. Maybe. Maybe. I just don't want us to just give away picks just to give away picks. But, but I hear what you're saying. Barbara says, hopefully Trice will be our Parsons, Ebiketie, and Harrison need to step up. Now, I will say this, Barbara. Harrison was coming along because remember, Harrison didn't get a lot of run early. And when he did get some run later on in the season, he actually showed up. I know he showed up against the Jets, the game I was when I went up there to see them. So I give him a lot of credit. Yeah, I forgot about Harrison. Harrison is somebody I'm looking forward to. He should be pretty good. Antoine, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us here in Uncle Steve's Lounge. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Um, Barbara says, I watched Jerry West on old tapes only. He was a great player. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Absolutely. Absolutely. Barbara says, also says, Magic Johnson is my favorite, but Jordan was the best. Yeah, and look, there's really no, he isn't. Magic isn't. You can go either way because you can't deny the six championships. Michael Jordan was definitely somebody who, um, I mean, as we talk about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and stuff, uh, Magic, Magic, when he and Bird came in, the NBA was kind of a flatline game. Like everybody knew of the NBA, but it was nowhere near as popular. But when Magic and Bird came in and kind of stirred that interest to me, and because I was younger, Barbara, that's why Magic kind of had a place in my heart because that was somebody who's like, man. Now Michael Jordan took the baton and took it to a whole nother level. So yeah, you're not gonna get any argument with me if anybody says uh Michael is the best. I understand on some days I'll probably slip and say, yep, MJ, he's the GOAT. But my personal, my personal best, I think, is Magic, because I just think Magic did it on a showy, high Showtime Lakers. They were showy. They were brash. He was arrogant. The no look passes and all that stuff, man. That made the league what it is. People be talking junk and doing all man. Mike Magic them were doing that back then in the 70s. And folks didn't like it. Folks didn't like when Magic was showing them up like that. Most players didn't like that. Magic got beat down, just like Caitlin been getting beat down lately. They didn't like that. But he still prevailed. 5 championships later. And I'll say this, and I really do mean this. I think if he didn't have the HIV scare, I think we would be talking about Magic maybe with a 6, possibly a 7. When Magic left, that was pretty much the end of the Lakers. Yeah. David says Uncle Murphy is the one that turned me on to Phil Collins. That's a good man, your Uncle Murphy then. He was a good man. I love Phil Collins. Phil Collins was real good, especially if you go back and listen to some of the stuff with Genesis too, when he took over as lead singer, because before it was Peter Gabriel. When Phil Collins took over Genesis, that's basically when they start blowing up. Dre says there is no better opening, no better instrumental solo, and just no better overall better song than Papa Was a Rolling Stone, man. Gives me goosebumps every time I hear that intro come on. True fact. Papa and the Rolling Stone was so long, the original version. I think the original version is like 7 to 8 minutes long. The front part of the song, which is all instrumental, to Dre's point, that song, that's another one that pierces you. Just the dramatic tone of it. Just that. Dun, 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 dun. Y'all gonna make me make a. No, you know what? I had a super chat with that song on there. I'm about to put it back on there. But yeah, oh that that was totally awesome song. I hear you. Antoine wishes a happy Father's Day to everybody. Yes, sir. Barbara says, "Had you given your predictions for the Falcons season yet, Uncle Steve? I got 10-7, and we win the division." Yeah, I I just told folks a few minutes ago I haven't gone 100% official, even though I do feel like 10 wins is probably where I'm going right now as far as the Falcons are concerned. Yeah, I think we win the division either with 10 games or 9 games this year, but I think we are going to win the division. I'm gonna go later. Later when we get kind of into preseason before I make my official uh picks for the season. And Barbara says, yes, cater to you is where they did the street. Yeah, I thought that was it. That's why when he said dedicated to your father, and I was like, yeah, you know how it is when you say to yourself, okay, I hear you, but I remember I know some ladies like calling their men daddy, so I don't know. But I I have a hard time kind of separating that. You know? Oh man, I'm sorry. Oh man. Winston says, GOAT James. You talking about LeBron James? LeBron James? Okay. I mean, LeBron James is one of the top 5 players I think of all time. I don't think it's too much question about that. I think the only thing that just bothers me about the LeBron James thing is LeBron James, one, he kinda handpicked the Miami team, which again, free agency, do what you want, ring chasing, I get it. And then I also say LeBron James, who needs to get credit for it. He gets credit for it, has kept himself in such immaculate shape that he's played this long. But does longevity really mean the greatest? Does longevity equal greatness? I have an argument that would say Steph Curry, pound for pound, has had a more. Mm, I'm not saying he's better, but I am saying has had a pretty effective career that would be right up there with LeBron. And you could argue that Steph Curry kind of was a game changer. LeBron is an awesome player, but literally you had to change the way you played the game because of Steph Curry. I'm not telling you he's better. I'm just telling you there's an argument. Mark Cheney's in the house. What's going on, Mark? How you doing, brother? Y'all make sure y'all check Mark out on his YouTube channel as well. He says happy birthday and happy birthday to you, my friend. Winston says, Voyages to Atlantis. I like that song too. That's a good song. Jamal says, I always say there are 4 acceptable answers to the GOAT. He said MJ, Kareem, Magic, and LeBron. Only acceptable answers. Let me see. I mean, I can't argue with those. Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with those. I mean, like I said, the LeBron thing is yeah. And then I look, I'm not they played the game, it counts. Yeah, that bubble championship, man. I'm still having problems with the bubble championship. But you know what? If the Hawks would have won, I would have counted that too. So I guess. But you know, I get it though. Barbara says LeBron is in my top 8. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. And Jamal says it's GOAT James for me. Okay. Again, I just have a slight disagreement. I say he's one of the greatest, but if I played 21 years, I would probably have every record in the NBA. And it's not like what is LeBron's average overall as a player? Let me see something. What is his overall average? And I'd be kind of surprised if is it over 25? Is it over 25? Let me see. Let me see. Let me pull it down here. LeBron, come on, man, gotta get all the way down here. Uh his overall average points, it is 25. What is it? 27.1. Okay, so I'll give him a little more credit. than that. Okay, 27 points. That's legit. Mark says, yeah, him going to Miami and losing to Dallas kind of cemented his legacy. Losing to Dallas kind of cemented his legacy for me. Yeah, exactly. Same here. Same here. Uh Winston says Jordan did the same with Rodman. He handpicked him. No, Rodman came to Mike. Rodman came to Mike. Rodman knew where to come. Rodman had a good year at San Antonio. He just couldn't stay out of trouble. It's one thing if they come to you, because here's the argument, Winston. If LeBron's that great, let them come to you. Cleveland would have 3 or 4 chips. But he left Cleveland, let Cleveland build up their team with Kyrie and company, and then came back to Cleveland. I'm not telling you LeBron isn't one of the top of all time. I guess I'm just saying those are things that are legit points to me. And yeah, Jordan, I mean, and really when you start talking about Rodman, yeah, that's one person. I mean, LeBron literally said, "Hey, Chris Bosh, let's run down there with Dwayne and win another championship." So if you anything, Dwayne Wade need to get credit because Dwayne brought him there. If you're that much of the man, bring him to you. And then you ran to LA where you could hook up with AD. And yeah, you got a bubble championship. But yeah, I don't know, man. Top 5, but I can't say the greatest. Jamal says if longevity doesn't equal greatness, then we need to have a Tom Brady conversation. I mean, well, that's fair. That's fair to say. But you can also say Tom Brady went to, is it 10? He went to 10 Super Bowls. And you went to 10 Super Bowls and you won 7. I don't care if you went there 25 years. That's a better average than LeBron. LeBron won 3.5. No, I'm just playing. He won 4 over 21 years, or is 22 years? I mean, again, I'm not trying to tell you he's not great. Don't get me wrong. I think the comparison, you can't compare LeBron to Tom Brady. And I'll also say Tom Brady, quite honestly, yeah, in a more physical sport, even where they kind of protected the quarterback in Tom Brady's era, I just think it's a better accomplishment. But at least Tom Brady won 7 rings. It's a lot of championships. Mark said, great point about Steph. He did more than Bron in less time. I mean, that's just factual. It's not hate. It's not saying anything bad about LeBron. That's just the fact. Folks had to change their game. Teams have changed the way they play. Boston is basically 30 to 40 3-point shots a game and live and die. And that's because of Steph Curry. Folks weren't throwing up 3-pointers like that. Folks weren't throwing up 3-pointers like that in the 90s or early 2000s. Nobody was. Now everybody come in. 7-foot folk come in. Jokic up there throwing up 200, 300 3-pointers a year. That's because Steph did that. Dre says, that's always my argument. The GOAT had to have changed the game. There are only 4. Beal, Shaq, AI, and Curry. No other player has changed the game outside of them. So how can they be the GOAT? And, and that's why I know Shaq is always he seems very angry about his place. And people always talk. And Shaq does have a little ornery side, but I kind of see where he's coming from. They literally changed the rules in the paint because of Shaq. Literally changed the game. Steph Curry literally changed the game. AI with his carrying self. I'm just playing. But again, AI changed the game. Smart Ride in the house. What's going on, brother? How you doing? Does playing darn near every game for 13 years except 3 and accumulating tons of yards with elite players make you great, and the moment you don't have them, you fall off? I yeah, that's a good point. That's an excellent point. Uh, absolutely. Uh, Jamal said like 27. Yeah, it was 27-1. 27-1. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, Dave. Hold on. Let me get back down. Y'all been coming strong. Hold on one second. Let me get back down here. ATL said, yep, the DJ at Greenbrier skating rink could put on the song Papa was a Rolling Stone, did go to the restroom, get a snack, and get back to the DJ booth before the end of the song. Absolutely. You could do that with that, and Skate Man, you could do that with Rapper's Delight, the long version. You put on Rapper's Delight, the long version, oh, you could go party. And for those of you a little older than that, if you put on the long version of One Nation Under the Groove, you can do that one too. I think that version was like 12 minutes long, if I'm not mistaken. Antonio, what's going on, brother? Good to see you in the house. What's up, Happy Father's Day. And my Father's Day song is the Commodore's Easy. Very good song, man. When Lionel was doing all them country songs back in the day, and y'all thought they were all soul, Lionel's a country. No, it sounds funny, but I just can't stand the man. You once, twice, 3 times, lady. I do love you still. And then y'all know he wrote Lady for Kenny Rogers, right? I know, country rich dude, man. But I love that song, though. That's a good song. Jamal said, Robin came to Mike is a front office competency conversation. Cleveland is not a fun city and cheap management at the time running the roster to the ground. But here's the problem. And that may be true, but here's the problem. LeBron, if you didn't know that you had an elite talent in LeBron James at that time, if you're Cleveland's management, then shame on you. And look, he ended up going right back to Cleveland. And I don't think their ownership changed when they brought him back. I don't think they did. I think they had the same general manager. I think. I could be wrong. But shame on them for not bringing people to them. But LeBron will always go down. And a lot of people still think he's the GOAT. So there is enough merit to argue LeBron as the GOAT. I'm not debating that he's not in that conversation. He's 100% in the conversation. If you score 40,000 points in the NBA, you're definitely in the conversation. I guess my point is I can stick some holes in that. I can stick some holes in that balloon if you build a case. Winston says, you can't say Bron is setting all-time records when he was breaking records years ago and not being a score-first player. And Jordan did recruit Rodman. That's documented. Even if he did recruit Rodman, that's one person, Winston. That's one person. What are you talking about? And at that time, Rodman wasn't an all-NBA player. You're acting like he recruited what would have been the equivalent to Mike? You act like he recruited Clyde Drexler or Charles Barkley or Karl Malone or somebody like that. Dennis Rodman was not an all-NBA player at that time. Matter of fact, I dare I say, if Rodman doesn't play those last 3 years with the Bulls, he wouldn't be a Hall of Famer. So let's not act like Rodman was looked at as this elite player. He was looked at as a very elite defensive player at that time. And people actually forget he was a nice offensive player when he was with Detroit. But Dennis Rodman was not looked at as, oh my God, elite when he came to Chicago. He was looked at as a goon that'll get you 15 to 20 rebounds. And it just so happens that when he did go to the Bulls and knew his role, he played it to the T, which to me elevated him to being one of the top players. So I kind of disagree with that a little bit. David says Jordan is my GOAT. My issue is that the Jordan defenders act as though he didn't have his failures and hold LeBron accountable for every missed shot, it seems. Yeah. Look, and people can forget, Jordan had a tough start. Yeah, those Boston teams and Cleveland, Boston, Detroit, they slapped Jordan around them early years. It wasn't like it's like he came to the league and dominated, just like LeBron. And I'll have one more argument against LeBron. If LeBron was as great as you say he is, some of y'all, well, how come that team with him, Bosh, and Wade couldn't beat a Dallas team that J.J. Barrera was the point guard? Reserve point guard at that. They had no business losing that game. That series, I should say. So try that again. Jamal says Tom wasn't even MVP for all his rings, though. He didn't have to be the MVP. He's the quarterback. He's the most important player on the team. Most important player on the team might not need to get the MVP. Not all the time. He said, I hear you, though. I just don't see how that's used against him. He said, we knocking Braun for not beating that well-coached veteran Spurs team in 07 in his third year in the league in the finals. Here's the problem. Again, nobody talked about super teams until LeBron and company invented. LeBron was the one that went on there. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. That wasn't me. That wasn't the fans. That wasn't the media. That wasn't the young Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith. That was LeBron. LeBron said that. So it's not about knocking LeBron. LeBron said they were going to win all them championships. And I know it was tongue-in-cheek. I get it. But LeBron put that in folks' mind. And folks still to this day hold him accountable for that. As they should. You know. Let's see. Winston says, Bosh chose to follow Braun. Wade was going to leave Atlanta. Come on, Winston. ADK, he's stretching, man. He's stretching. Come on, Winston. AD came a year after Braun was in LA. That you did 8 degrees of separation to make your point, and it's still landing flat. And Antonio says, so y'all agree Steph has ruined basketball? He probably has. Barbara says, some of them saying LeBron is the best didn't even see any of the real players, good players, because of their age. People older than me says Bill Russell was the GOAT. See that, and that's the thing, Barbara. The eras, you're always my son and I have this argument so many times, and I get his points because it's hard to debate eras. Remember a few years ago, we kept talking about could the 73 win Warriors beat the 72 win Chicago Bulls? Well, you can't really have that conversation because there were two different eras. And I'll even go back further. Could the 72 win Chicago Bulls beat the Showtime Lakers or the prime Celtics? Well, the Celtics should have had a nickname. Because I'm going to tell you what, the Lakers and Celtics beat each other up. I know Philly snuck in there and got a championship in between that. But the Lakers and Celtics were like the prime teams at that time. Folks weren't getting to the finals unless you went to go see one of them. But it's unfair to start talking about eras. It is. It's hard for me to tell people a lot of time. What I can do is bring up little things, but just like Winston's bringing up stuff about LeBron, I get it. But I can bring up a lot of stuff about I haven't even started my my whole platform for how Magic is the greatest. But somebody will poke holes in mine too. I get it. Jamal says Kawhi doesn't talk, has zero influence, and was a top 3 player. Yeah. Kawhi's pretty good. Kawhi's injury prone. That's his only problem. Kawhi's getting injured. Barbara says some players never seen Jordan or match play. Absolutely. And that was the thing, Barbara. If you were now, and my son is another, and I keep bringing him up because obviously he's my son. But when the pandemic came out, and y'all remember when The Last Dance was on TV and everybody and their mama's uncle was watching The Last Dance, that was his first time. He had heard about Jordan. He's seen a couple of clips about Jordan, but that was his first time actually understanding what he was to the league when they were showing those videos and showing the commercials and showing what was going on during the era that Jordan played. And he got a better understanding, like, oh, that's why y'all be saying Jordan is as good as LeBron. Because guess what? He doesn't know anybody but LeBron and Kobe. Those are the folks he grew up with. I grew up with Magic and Bird. And then Jordan. But he's growing up with a whole different era. He's growing up with LeBron. He's growing up with Kobe. He's growing up with Steph. And even lately, oh man, when Anthony Edwards was making this run, he was, oh Dad, I'm telling you, this guy's the next Jordan. I'm like, slow down, put some brakes on. But I get what he's saying. These are the guys that are influential now. He's the one telling me a couple of years ago about Ja Morant. Ja Morant's gonna be all that. Blah, blah, blah. Ja Morant can't swinging water guns in videos. Maybe he would, but it, it's fair game. It's fair game. Ricky said, "On spitting game today." I'm trying. Look, I just love the conversation, man. But it's always good, Lo, to hear other perspectives because I'm not disrespecting any perspective. I love hearing what other people think against what I think because I'm not saying I'm 100% right. I'll make a passionate argument about it, but the beauty of it is to hear what the rebuttal will be. That's why I love with Winston. Winston from day one when I met Winston 3-4 years ago online. Winston is one of the best people that will argue a point about you, even if I think he 100% wrong. But he's passionate in his argument, so I love hearing that because we can do that without being disrespectful. I know a lot of people can't. A lot of people can't help themselves, but that's why Winston will forever stay in my chat at all times because even if he is 100% wrong, like he is all the time, I'm just playing. But even if he is wrong, I know he gonna come at me with the right way. He know I'm gonna play him the right way too. Speaking of Winston, Winston said LeBron changed the game. That's why you have a Luca and a Joker now. Now, I'll say this. I think the Luca Joker character doesn't really have as much to do with LeBron James, if you ask me. LeBron James, you know what LeBron James was to me? And I say this respectfully. I think LeBron is a he really wanted to be Magic. When people compare him to Jordan, it's really unfair because their games are really kind of different. He wanted to be Magic to me when I saw him first come out. Then only later in his career when he realized he had to be the man, that he had to kind of morph into what Jordan was, kind of a takeover player. If you look at his game early on, he wanted to distribute. He wanted to be a triple double machine. He wanted to be that guy. And then later started realizing, oh, dang, they need me to score. That's what happened with Miami. When he went to Miami, he wanted to sit back and let Dwayne Wade continue to be the leader of that team. And then, it's well documented. They had to sit down and say, hey, Bron, I know Dwayne was here first, but you got to be the guy in order for us to win. So that's what ended up happening in that situation. You know, you gotta get that. Trey says Winston, when you were absolutely dead wrong. Steph was great when he got to the league, members of the all rookie team, and that was that guy. He kept getting hurt. Yeah, I remember Steph. Them ankles were bad with him. Jamal says there was a finals where the losing coach was asked what happened against MJ's Bulls, and he said we couldn't keep Dennis Rodman off the boards. We can't downplay Rodman now. Okay, make no mistake. I'm not downplaying Rodman. I'm telling you that Rodman wasn't looked at as Hall of Fame-ish until he got to the Bulls. Let's not act like Rodman was he a bit pickup for LeBron? I mean, for LeBron. For Michael? Absolutely. Because they needed somebody to protect them on the boards. They needed somebody that could keep people off Mike. Of course he was a big part of that. Nobody's downplaying it. I'm just saying it's not as if we're talking, you know what I mean? Like, we're not talking KD joining Devin Booker. We're not talking AD joining LeBron. We're not talking trying to think somebody Kyrie joining Luca. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that Rodman was not looked at as a top 15 player in the NBA when he went to the Bulls. Matter of fact, if anything, Rodman was going to the Bulls to kind of remake his image a little bit because he was such a bad dude in San Antonio. He was a great player at that time. He was a great player, but he had to redo his image when he went to Chicago. Nobody's downplaying him. And you probably weren't listening to me. I'm just saying that at that time, let's not pretend like Rodman was a Robin to Michael Jordan's Batman. Not at all. Winston says Rodman was the league leader in rebounds the past 3 years. You know what they're saying? Y'all missing the whole point. Stop it, Jordan's Wade was Pippen. You can't deny that. Bron followed the same format. Yeah, the difference was Pippen was drafted in Chicago. That's whole different animal. If you're drafted onto the team, that doesn't really count. Clay and Steph will forever be linked. Clay, Steph, and Draymond will forever be linked because they were drafted onto the same team. Neither one of them switched. They grew as a team together. That's what Jordan and Pippen did. They grew as a duo together. And yeah, ancillary parts here and there. But let's not act like they grabbed it. Even when Kukoc came. Are y'all saying Kukoc was a top 20 player when he finally got to the Bulls? I know they drafted him and couldn't play him for another year or so, but come on now. Come on now. Y'all going yard hard and really not listening to what you're saying. Jamal says that Dallas finals is the only legit strike against LeBron. I won't argue that was on him. Yeah, oh, absolutely. And listen again, not telling y'all LeBron isn't great now. Don't get me wrong. Nobody's trying to tell you that. ATLGA Faithful, what's going on, brother? How you doing, man? Happy Father's Day. Appreciate you. Oh, man, Trey said, LeBron didn't change the game at all. Not a single rule change came because of him. Them three actually changed rules of the game because of how beast they were. And Curry, we all know, changed the game. So, yeah, listen, I'm trying to tell y'all. I'm trying to tell y'all. Jamal, Jamal says, oh, Braun impersonation. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Is that a super chat in here for boy Big Low in the house? Let's see what we got for you, Big Low.
Gonna be here for long. You know, a real super chat. Girl, you got me twisted over there. Uncle Steve will read right now, baby.
Yeah. That's the smooth sounds of Uncle Steve here on a Sunday chill. And Big Low, thank you, brother. Appreciate you. He said Robin was not the Batman to Jordan, was not the Robin to Jordan's Batman. He was more like Alfred. That's actually a really good point. Robin was not a AB. He wasn't a Luca Kyrie. He wasn't a what the Hawks were trying to do with Trey and DeJounte. That wasn't what his role was. He was simply the third person in the Scotty Jordan circle. And did he have a big influence? Absolutely. If you're averaging 15 to 20 rebounds, you dang right you are. But let's not pretend like, come on now. Let's not pretend like you knew when Rodman was coming over, he was going to make that much of a difference. I thought he would be solid. I never thought they'd win 72 games. I didn't. And I was saying to myself, I said, man, that first three that they had with Chicago, man, when Horace Grant was there, and I was like, man, they ain't never going to replace Horace Grant. And they brought Rodman in there, and Rodman took it to a different level. I thought they'd be good, but I didn't think they'd be that good. I won't lie to you. But come on now. Y'all need to calm down. Thank you, Blow. Appreciate you, brother. Winston says the Celtics had a super team in the 80s with Bird, McHale, Parrish, Walton. Braun didn't create the super team. That was not McHale was not a free agent. Bird was not a free agent. Parrish was not a free agent. Walton was a free agent. I don't say super teams. Do you consider the war? When I say super team, you know what super team starts mean? Super teams mean you were brought together. In other words, you came from free agency, you came from a trade. That's what I mean when I say super team. So let me make sure I clarify that for you, Winston, because maybe you missing what I'm saying on that. Because a super team to me is a team created. Boston, as good right now, for the most part, Boston is mainly draft picks. The main parts of them that's balling right now. Yeah, Tatum and Jaylen Brown, yeah, they started there. So I don't consider that a super team. Curry, Thompson, Green, they started together. They developed. Mark Jackson told us, we were laughing. Mark Jackson told us, and he's the best shooter. He's going to be the best shooters in history. And they laughed and said, Mark, get off the crack. And look, 4 championships later. But no, the Celtics were a great team. But let's not act like they all kind of like more into that from they all started there. Barbara says Bill Russell had 11 championships, so that's why older people say he's the great he's the GOAT. Absolutely. And then he coached two of those teams. He actually was a player coach. Which say I love you too, huh? You know you the man, bro. He said, that's been Bron's game since while still being the leading scorer. He never had a season where he wasn't the leading scorer for any team he was on. Yeah, no, and again, you're right. You're right. There's no argument about that. Raymond, what's going on, man? How you doing, brother? Happy Father's Day to you. Appreciate you coming on, bro. Winston also says Steph was trash. Come on, man. Come on, bro. Come on. Steph was trash because he could never go through a full season. He's just like Trey, but the Warriors were smart enough to draft to cover his deficiencies. Woo! Man, bruh. You Yeah, I'm gonna let Dre pick that one up. He said this dude said Steph was trash. Choose a new topic. Oh man. Oh man, y'all are crazy. Jamal said Braun built the super team to be the super team. That KG Pierce, Ray Allen Celtics team was no joke. Yeah, 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 they did. Of course LeBron did. Of course he did. KG and the Celtics did the same thing. Absolutely they did. uh Raven said I never saw a one-man basketball team. Yeah, well, the closest team really in the past years, the closest that I would say is probably because here's the problem. When you gotta, especially when you're talking about basketball, you're gonna need all five players, and they're gonna have to play their roles in on those teams. Olajuwon's team, were there really stars on that team? Because Kenny Smith was okay. I mean, he was nice. Uh, Ori was nice, but Olajuwon stirred the drink. I'm not saying that he did it by himself, but that might have been the closest one to a one man. To closer to one man being that dominant. So I could agree with you. It's kind of hard to say a one man that are not a lot of one man teams. I can live with that. Winston says Pippen will always be Robin, but Robin was his Catwoman. Dang. He did the dirty work and pushed the line. Batman would. Man, we are just destroying DC characters, man. Y'all are wrong. Antonio says, do we get to knock MJ for what he's doing in Charlotte? Yeah, I know. Yeah. Just because you're great on the court doesn't necessarily mean you'll be great as an owner. That's for sure. That's for sure. Jamal says super teams before Braun, the KG Celtics, uh, the '04 Lakers, even when they fell, and Clyde Drexler Rockets. And I think what you're absolutely right. All the teams that you mentioned, especially '04 Lakers when they brought in Gary Payton and Karl Malone. Absolutely. I think the only reason why we probably not saying it as much, Jamal, because the era that we're in now, and blame LeBron, I do, because LeBron said they were going down there to create a monster, and that's what they did. There's no shame in that, but you got to finish up the job. You got to finish the job. KG's Celtics, absolutely threw together. '04 Lakers, absolutely. Uh, Jamal said Wilt joining Jerry West. Yeah, I guess. I mean, you got somebody averaging over 40 points a game and joining one of the greatest players. I guess that would count. Winston says, "How Braun create the super team would say, okay, I get okay. I'll give up on the super teams starting with LeBron if that's what you want. I'll stand down." Oh man, Larry says Boston Celtics has Tatum and Brown that was drafted for everyone of significance. This is true. This is true. Everybody plays a part. Because my man White, dude, it's a nice dude right there. Said the Boston Celtics drafted Tatum and Brown, but Drew Holiday free agent, Derek White free agent, Al Horford free agent, Porzingis free agent. So this year's Celtics are 100% super team. I wouldn't say super team because all of those guys are ancillary players, Larry. Because if you take Tatum or Brown off that team for a significant amount of time, this is not the same team. So I super team, you kind of bending the rules on that one a little bit. I hear you. If you're not going to tell me that you added Drew Holiday, Derek White, Al Horford, and saying that that's making me a super team. Matter of fact, I'll say this: you can keep Tatum and Brown and bring in a whole nother 5 and still have the ability to win a championship. That's how good Tatum and Brown are. So I disagree, especially throwing Al Horford into the mix. And you know I got love for Al from here. So I disagree. Uh Larry also says first title with her team was a one man. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. When it came on that was definitely a one man team. When you talk about that team. Absolutely. Man, you know the one thing I like about doing this, man? The one thing I like about doing this is that we start at one place and we could talk about everything else. That is so awesome. That's what we do here in the lounge, man. And y'all been in the lounge with me on a Father's Day for about 2 hours. So we gonna end up things today. I appreciate y'all. I know I've been off for a couple of weeks. I appreciate I watch everybody. Y'all make sure y'all give love to Larry and the Dixon Way, Big Low on Big Low Country Sports. Y'all make sure y'all watch um my brother Dre on the coach's corner. Jamal says that was a good debate. Man, listen, again, one of the things you're not going to have from me, and yes, I'm critical about that. I'm not going to ever make stuff personal if I think your opinion is different than mine. That's why I love that y'all can come on here and have your conversation. And I'm going to let you have your say. And I know sometimes I'll end up going on the screen. I know today is not one of those days, but I always want to hear what you have to say. And I'm not going to skip your comment. I'm going to put it on here and we're going to either laugh, we'll joke, we'll debate. But at the end of the day, it's all love because that's what I'm all about, man. I don't play all that negative Nancy crap or gang up on you junk. Y'all come over here to your unc's house. It's gonna be all love, and we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna definitely laugh, and we're gonna have a good time until the next time we come in here, man. So I appreciate y'all. Again, my brother Larry says Derek White and Drew Holiday are two of the best defensive guards in the NBA. The reason Giannis has a title is because of Drew Holiday. I agree with that. Great stream, Steve. Later, I'm going to watch House of Dragons. You enjoy yourself, man, Larry. Rest of y'all enjoy yourself. Fathers, again, have a great end of the Father's Day. We will catch y'all next time. Man, it's been great. Thank you for joining Uncle Steve's Lounge. Don't forget to like the video on the way out. I appreciate it. Hopefully, we'll be in here for the minutia tomorrow. maybe later on in the evening. I did want to touch on that Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark situation today just to see what the vibe is. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. And of course, we'll always be here for you, Atlanta Falcons Talk. Until then, everyone have a great night, and we'll see you then.